Tigers are running back. The guy's inside. You got to get it out.
There it is to the end zone, and he comes down with it. Outrageous. What a catch. Chase, one-on-one. Forget about it.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. I am Jonathan Poche, joined as always by the Bud Man, Buddy Songy, here at Old School Barbecue. We record this Tigers Roar on February 2nd, 2022, National Signing Day, the big story of today. All those signees inking the line, committing their services to universities across this great nation. Bud Man, welcome in.
Good to see you, JP. Hope everybody feeling better out there. Yeah, you know, all these years we've been talking about recruiting days and signing bashes and all of that, and you feel like today's going to be a special day for the Tigers, and there's been some bumps in the road, but they did land Harold Perkins, who's an outstanding five-star linebacker, one of the best linebackers in the country. Got him a corner from Texas, Jalen Davis Robinson, yep, who can really run, but lost out on a lot of kids, and certainly still waiting on Jacoby Matthews, although the general consensus is that Texas A&M has backed up the Brinks truck. And a disturbing trend in this regard, JP, not that these guys are getting money, but you're making decisions on who makes the best offer. Yeah. And as we know, you start to give 17 to 18, 19, 20-year-old kids a lot of money. That's problematic. But we'll get into that. Wearing the sunglasses because LSU missed on 4 of the 6 if Matthews, in fact, goes to A&M. Yep. LSU basketball in a funk. Yep. But I will take them off momentarily as we talk about the highlight of football this year. And you know what it is for me?
Who Day.
Who Day.
Yeah.
How cool is it to watch Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tyler Shelvin, and now they'll be going against the Rams with Andrew Whitworth and Odell Beckham Jr. You're all enamored because since we last were on, Sean Payton has resigned, so we got a lot of Saints talk. So plenty to talk to you. And I will, not that I look any better with the glasses on or off, but the Bengals have given a lot of Tiger fans and people that have an affinity to watch LSU that extension, and to be able to live vicariously to a guy to get to the Super Bowl. Burrow and LSU won the national championship his second year, second year at Cincinnati. Can they win the Super Bowl? I don't know if they can unless they can block Aaron Donald and the rest, but plenty to talk about tonight.
Right, the Bengals beat the Chiefs in an overtime game. 27-24 was the final in that one. Joe Burrow shined, as always. Had a great couple runs late in that game on third down, one in particular to escape Chris Jones and really pick up a crucial first down late in that game. Jamar Chase catches a touchdown. You saw that in the opening clip. LSU flavor all over the place this past weekend in the conference championship games. It was another great weekend of football, Bud Man. The last 2 weekends for the NFL has been outstanding.
Oh, it's the best I've ever seen. I've never seen 6 NFL playoff games. Yep. The first weekend, all 3 road dogs won by a field goal. And then, of course, the last game, Kansas City miraculously came back and went enough yards with 13 seconds to kick a field goal and then won it in overtime. I want to broach that subject a little bit with you because it almost happened again. Yep. And in my opinion, JP, you never know what the NFL competition committee is going to do and the rules, what they're going to tweak. But Kansas City got into an overtime game in the second week in a row. The difference is, of course, is that Mahomes threw a pick on the first or second play or whatever it was, and Cincinnati went down. But had they went down and scored a touchdown, can you imagine the people in Cincinnati feeling like the people in Buffalo did? Right. And I think that's something that probably needs to be reviewed, whether or not you keep the overtime rule in the NFL where the team that scores a touchdown first, if you get the ball and win the coin toss and you score a touchdown, it's over. And so you're really deciding 50% of who wins the game on a coin toss.
Right, and the Cincinnati fans out there were all dreading that the Kansas City Chiefs won the toss, and Twitter started blowing up about already rule changes, what it's going to be in the offseason, how they're going to tweak this, and give the quarterback on the other side a shot. And then the Bengals played defense, and Jesse Bates tips the ball to Von Bell. Shout out Von Bell, did great things for the Saints now in Cincinnati. Same with Trey Hendrickson, also had a sack and a half against Patrick Mahomes. And look, that game started off 21-3. Anybody who gave the Bengals any kind of shot in that game before they started playing, they all said the same thing. The Bengals have to get out front. If they're not playing with the lead, they at least have to hold serve with the Chiefs. Because, the Chiefs can score in bundles. And you figure they have an easy time getting to Joe Burrow after he was sacked nine times in the game the week before. The offensive looked appreciably better to me against the Chiefs this week. But you mentioned Aaron Donald in that pass rush. You add Von Miller to the Rams, and it's going to be quite a task for that offensive line to protect Joe Burrow. Happy for the Bengals to turn things around in just 2 short years. Joe Burrow's first full year as an NFL quarterback, making it to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of LSU fans are also Saints fans, and all those fans combined are really pulling for the Bengals, shouting out that Who Day. Good thing the Bengals won, because out of the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Rams, and the 49ers, Saints fans had no one to cheer for outside the Bengals. So good for the state of Louisiana that the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Very happy for those fans. You always kind of feel good for the long-suffering fans that finally get, you win a playoff game, you go to the conference championship, you win that, now you're in the Super Bowl. It's like, Jesus, it's like a dream. It's a ride that you never want to get off of. But LSU fans, we've seen this 2018 when Joe Burrow, that guy's just got the it factor, bud, man. He never gets rattled. He can do just enough with his legs to keep the chains moving. He knows Jamar Chase is better than your best cornerback, so he's going to throw it down there no matter where he is. If he feels he has a chance, if it's one-on-one, he's throwing it to Jamar. And those two, wow. Such potential to be special for a decade in Cincinnati. The turnaround's outstanding. You're happy for those young men. Tyler Shelvin, what an outstanding moment for him to lift up Joe Burrow after that AFC Championship game, just like he did in 2019.
And then doing the gritty afterwards. By the way, I had Charles Alexander the Great. You might have remembered Charlie A. Many, many years ago, but he was an LSU running back that signed with the LSU from Galveston, Texas. And he told me this week something that I did not know, because there were some Saints fans that thought that Cincinnati was kind of playing off of the Who Dat with the Who Day. Now, Charlie A., and he's got the come on man sauce and all that other stuff, super classy guy. He said they had Who Day in 1981. So he said, oh, yeah, we had this, whatever it is, 40 years ago. I'm just telling you what he told me. I don't think it was popular, and I don't think we remembered it to the extent. I don't know if he's on cutting edge scoop, but he says they had Who Day before the Saints had Who Dat. I know you're not going to believe that.
Who Dat's been around since like the 70s. 73, I think, is when Who Dat started.
Oh, 73? Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, bottom line is that I do think the Saints fans are pulling for Burrow and Chase. I also think the Saints fans are anxiously awaiting to see what happens. And since we had some issues, look, folks, many of you are out there and you got kids and you have the positive test. Do the things that they tell you to do. Take your ibuprofen, your Tylenol, you're drinking plenty of fluids. Obviously, do the things that try to keep yourself and your family safe and happy and healthy. But got to ask you about Sean Payton and saying goodbye. I've never seen him so vulnerable. Uh-huh. Now, I was tough on Sean Payton.
Yeah, you called him
a couple times this year. Yep. Because I thought Dennis Allen did a great job when Sean was out. Yes, and they beat and shut out Tampa Bay 9-0. I never would have thought that would have happened. But Payton obviously had a little burnout. You and I talked about that. But I got to ask you right out of the gate, and we'll get into all the other stories, but did you, when the rumors and the stuff started coming out, did you think he was going to shut it down?
Oh, no, I was not ready for the news he was going to step away from the team. And, when you have a coach in a situation like the Saints had, every few years there's kind of rumors about, he might go to Dallas or he might take another job. And it never really came to pass, so Saints fans were really comfortable. I mean, you have the same coach, the same situation for 16 years. In South Louisiana, nobody likes change. And if it's not broke, you don't want to fix it. And, there's With Sean Payton being out, there's nine different coaching vacancies in the NFL right now. There's only 32 teams. We'll get into the story on that living section of the Advocate. That's a great piece on the old school
Terry
restaurant.
just comes in. Terry is a big hit,
Celebrity.
folks. By the way, if you still get the Advocate, they did a really nice piece on all of us over here at Old School Barbecue and Smokehouse, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. And when you walk up, you can smell the barbecue. And AT and everybody over here, very excited. Of course, Kayla and all of our people taking care of you in the bar. Definitely come by and try it out this week. And, back to Coach Payton. At first, I'm going like, oh, come on. He just needs to recharge. That was a tough year. People forget.
Right.
He's without Drew Brees.
Yep.
Hurricane Ida displaces them, and they got to go spend the first month in Texas. And then you get Jameis Winston, and right about the time you start getting a little momentum at quarterback and figuring out how this team might look, Devin White tackles Jameis Winston. He's out for the year. And then, of course, as we know, Taysom Hill got banged up, so he's got Trevor Siemian and a guy that Ian Book from Notre Dame that's just not ready. Neither one of those ready, and so it was a tough year.
The COVID, I mean, he
and
played
the
Miami.
COVID, the injuries, and then to top it off, you win the last game. You take care of business, and you and I were texting, and I'm going like, JP, they got a chance, and you and your dad said, nope, 49ers going to find a way. 49ers beat the Rams 6 consecutive times, twice this year. But, of course, they were 10 points ahead and wasn't able to finish the thing. So now we've got Cincinnati and the Rams. Thaddeus Moss has been on injured reserve. So the three Bengals that you'll see specifically, Tyler Shelvin, Big 99, Jamar Chase, who's just been unbelievable, Joe Burrow. And then I'm happy for Whitworth and Odell Beckham Jr. On the other side. So, look, this is going to be a highly watched and anticipated Super Bowl with Tiger fans. But it's kind of nice. We got to pray for one thing. Let's hope it's not a blowout. And I think if it was a blowout, it would be the Rams getting a hold of Burrow, tossing him around, knocking him out the game. Then it could get ugly. But let's give Zach Taylor a lot of credit. I was very critical of him. But let's give the owner credit. They went 2 years. You know how many games they won in 2 years? 6. They won 2, and they won 4 last year, but Burrow got hurt after game 6 or 7. And then to come and make it to the Super Bowl, JP, you know what a Super Bowl does for people in that city, in that state. And this is why we do what we do, for folks. People love to live vicariously through their sports teams. Oh, by the way, I tried to pick up a couple Joe Burrow jerseys for the Better Half's grandkids. I don't have enough NIL money to buy the Joe Burrow jersey. They were way up there. So they've taken the country by storm.
Super Bowl is obviously Sunday, February 13th. It's kind of a weird situation. It's the Bengals and the Rams. Of course, the game is at SoFi Stadium, which is the Rams' home field, but the Rams will actually be the visiting team for that Super Bowl, so they don't get to stay in their own digs. The Bengals came out and said they're going to wear their black jerseys, their white pants and orange socks, classic-looking uniforms. I agree. If it's a blowout, I think it goes towards the Rams. Bringing up Odell Beckham, what a road for that young man. I mean, it starts all the way back 2019 when he starts getting bad pub from all the LSU fans because he was on the field handing out money to the championship players, and then doesn't really work out in Cleveland. Of course, he's with his running mate and Jarvis Landry over there, but he doesn't really get into the fold too much. And then there's conflict between Odell's father and Baker Mayfield, and he's not throwing the ball when he's open. There's a lot of tension. Everybody kind of wants to blame Odell because you want to stick by your franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield. But look, Odell has a change of scenery, and he's really done well for the Rams. They lose Robert Woods, who is their number 2. Cooper Kupp, outstanding young receiver for the Rams. But they needed a number 2, and Odell certainly stepped up his game and worked his way into the offense of the Rams. Throughout Odell's whole career, he's really done a lot of damage outside the hash marks, running down those sidelines. But look, he's completely turning around for the Rams. He's working a lot over the middle, sacrificing his body in a lot of games, a lot of catches. A veteran leader on that team. And I don't know if you saw it, but after the game, after the NFC Championship, Deebo Samuel, another outstanding receiver, was obviously emotional, in tears on his sideline as the game expired. And Odell went right up to him and wanted to talk to his ear and just give him some words of encouragement. That's a player I see going through steps of maturity, which is outstanding for Odell.
So we've talked to the Saints and losing Sean Payton. Of course, people are going to be interested to see what he does, whether he takes a year off, recharge the batteries, whether he's going to do TV or invariably go to another team.
Yeah.
Joey B and Chase and the Bengals versus the LA Rams with a lot of LSU flavor. And national signing today. I know most of you keep up very, very closely. And, of course, as we said, Jalen Robinson, Davis Robinson, signed with LSU this morning. 5'11", 5'11 and a half, 175, 180, really a burner.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly tweeted out, you can't teach speed, so he can really run.
Right.
Then they proceeded to lose Trevante Citizen, the running back to Lake Charles, to Miami.
I didn't see Miami for Citizen.
No. This is Pete Cordelli, the old ball coach that comes on with us on Friday. He told us. Now, they hired Mario Cristobal from Oregon late.
Right.
But they got a rapper or somebody who said, I'm going to give them 40 or 50 million for NIL. Oh, yeah. And USC, all their big money people out on the left coast. And so, folks, if you haven't heard, the college game of football and basketball and baseball is being infiltrated with pay for play.
Yep.
And one of my great listeners, who's in the state of Arkansas, Tracy, said, I don't want to hear anybody call them student athletes anymore because they're professionals now.
Right.
And Citizen got a boatload of money to go to Miami. They're going to get back in the mix. Then the next decision was Danny Lewis. Now, Danny Lewis is a tight end from Westgate. He is the guy that had the L up and is doing the video.
8 million views.
8 million views. He's all set to sign, seal, and delivered, being purple and gold.
Yep.
And here comes the honey badger. No, not Tyrann Mathieu, but the coaching version of the honey badger.
The coach that takes what he wants.
Nick Saban.
Yeah.
He takes what he wants. They've got 7 or 8 tight ends at Bama. LSU struggling to put on the field 3.
Right.
And this kid, we get overtures last night, and I give credit to some of the pundits. They said, oh, this is close with Alabama. Anyway, once Kayshon Boutte, who's from Westgate, does 4 little elephant emojis, they went in there and paid that kid more money than LSU, so now he's with Bama.
Yep.
Then you got Caleb Douglas, was an LSU-Florida battle.
Yep.
So Billy Napier finally got one. They didn't do that great recruiting. They were last in the conference.
They signed ETN to
Yeah, signed ATN too, but they finished 14th right now in the SEC ratings. LSU was at 9th in the conference. And then, of course, Harold Perkins has signed with LSU. So you got Harold Perkins and you got the corner from Texas, 2 excellent defensive players that will see the field in some form or fashion next year.
Yep.
And Jacoby Matthews is at 6 o'clock. And LSU thought that they had made up rain monetarily. But, look, I'm not going to get into any kind of crazy theories, but we've been talking about this. And I call them sugar daddies. You can call them NIL boosters or whatever. But when you've got a son who may be highly recruited in 3 years, and there's a good chance that if your son gets to be good enough, he's going to have a chance to make an incredible amount of money before he ever steps on the field. And that is the way it's gone. And the problem with that everybody has is a couple things. Number one, people are driving on the interstate of college football. And they're going on I-10. And they're going on I-12. And they're driving 125 miles an hour and texting. And there's no policeman.
Right.
The NFL has a salary cap.
Yep.
They monitored, and you can't go millions over the salary cap.
Right.
They will fine you and take draft choices away and all that.
Yep.
There's no legislation for this. The second thing that's so bad, and I don't know if Mike will talk about this, but kids are signing at places because their mom and daddy say, baby, we need that extra $200,000. We need that extra whatever. So they're going to places that they don't really want to go to.
Right.
And then here's the worst thing to me. It's total de-emphasis on education. Randy Livingston was the best point guard in the country. as a high school athlete, and then at LSU, guess what? Gets hurt, and his life changes.
Yep.
Serious knee injury.
Yep.
Can't do the things that made him the best. You know what? He had to have an audible. He had to look back and say, I need an education. I need something that's going to get me through the tough times.
Yeah.
And so this pay for play, and then you got the taxes and what's money going to do and all those other things. So it's a little bit of a rocky road, but LSU is having a meeting tonight with their NIL people. And they better do a heck of a job recruiting because, folks, the days of coming to LSU because of Tiger Stadium or your mama and your girlfriend and your family can see you,
right,
or because the pods or the facilities or you love the state or you love being a Tiger, you grew up in purple and gold, for a lot of these kids, that's now irrelevant.
Yep.
It's this, baby. It's this. And whenever you make a decision, primarily because of money, you open yourself up for problems and second guessing.
Well, that was the first segment of Tigers Roar. We'll take a quick break, have a whole lot more here for you. Later on this program, we'll talk to Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. He'll shed light on everything recruiting and a whole lot more. We'll talk some LSU basketball after this break. Before we take our first break of this show, I want to tell you guys, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It is a great way to keep up with everything we do here at the Pelican. Clarence Bugg shows, the Roger Kadar show, Rocket Right, a whole lot more all on YouTube. And while you're at our page, go ahead and click subscribe so you know each and every time we post something new here at the Pelican. Quick break. We'll be back to talk a whole lot more LSU. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Honda has won more U.S. News & World Report awards than any other brand in the last decade. And now you can add another one to the list, being named the best car brand of 2022. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siegel Lane.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Look up to desire in your eyes, but you can't keep it in your heart. 'Cause misery loves company. 'Cause misery loves company. Cold and hungry like a dog in the street. I get a raw deal every one.
And we continue here on Tigers Roar. Time to talk some LSU basketball. They go to 16-6, 4-5 in the SEC. But man, after dropping a bad game, there's no other way to put it. It was a bad loss. The Ole Miss Rebels. Darius Day scored 21 points. He had 13 rebounds. There was a good stretch in that game where he was absolutely the best player on the floor. But man, the only option for LSU on offense. The offense has been struggling, Bud, man. The defense hasn't been as good as it was to start the season. I think LSU started off 15-1. Their only loss was to Auburn. They've gone, I think, 1-5 since then. Way too many fouls, putting the other team on the foul line way too much. And adversely, when LSU gets that half-court offense, Eric Gaines, who hasn't playing well in the absence of Pinson, but got to kind of mature his game a little bit and not just dribble to the goal and then look for someone to dish off to. 3 turnovers, but it could have been a whole lot more. Some loose balls there. But look, LSU falls down 24 points in the first half, Bud, man. They're down by 13 at halftime. They rally all the way back, make it very close in the end. You got to tip your hat to Ole Miss. They made some crucial foul shots down the home stretch of that game. But look, Coach Will Wade has a lot to figure out. He now has Tari Eason in the starting rotation, which I thought was a good thing for the team. But got to find some offense, Bud, man. Got to get back to what they were doing correctly on defense. They still do cause some turnovers, but lots of open shots, lots of open threes. And against a team like Ole Miss, if you leave them open for a lot of threes and get them going hot, they're tough to slow down. Ole Miss does lose their point guard in the second half of that game.
Ruffin, boy, he had a hell of a night, too.
He had 19 points before he went down. You never want to see a player get hurt. LSU did make their run after Ruffin went down. Looked a lot too correct for Coach Will Wade. Didn't seem as intense, as fired up on the sidelines this past game against Ole Miss, but in my opinion, he's got to lay up on the refs a little bit. I mean, we got to get some calls. He's got to, be some buddy with the Zebras a little bit. There's got to be something to turn some of these calls for LSU's favor. Because I'm not going to say that the refs, screwed the Tigers out of a game, but lots of foul calls, lots of like 50-50 ticky-tack calls that could have gone either way, but it just keeps on hurting the Tigers in crucial situations.
If you're wondering why I put the sunglasses back, of course, LSU had a rough day of recruiting, and then we talked Joey B and some other things that were more positive. Now, once you said we were going to go into LSU basketball, you almost have to have sunglasses. As you so eloquently said, 15-1 out of the gate. They've lost 5 of 6. And the biggest problem I think that fans have is that the same problems they had 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, are still there. First of all, they've had an inordinate amount of injuries. Pinson was out, came back last week. I guess that was TCU for 7 minutes. I don't know how many minutes he played last night, maybe a few more, but he's not 100%.
No, not even close.
Darius Days has been in and out of the lineup with ankles. Now you got Brandon Murray, who's been fantastic. He's got a wrist problem and has battled hammy problems. Alex Fudge has lost his confidence. He's played really poorly the last 3 years. Efton Reed's a big 5-star center. He's playing like a 3-star right now. Doesn't have his confidence. But back to the same old problems. They are horrific in a half-court offense. This senseless, useless dribbling by Pinson, by Eason, but more so by Eric Gaines. You love him, but sometimes he drives you crazy. It's just not the way other people attack on the offensive end in a half-court game. I don't see the ball movement. I don't see the passing. I don't see the spacing. I don't see trying to get a better shot.
Like cutting without the basketball, like there's no
And
movement.
let me tell you, your daddy taught you the same thing my daddy taught you. When somebody's hot, you feed them the ball.
Yep.
And Darius Nays should have got about 10 shots in a row because he wasn't hitting the rim last night.
Right.
And yet you got other guys coming in there wanting to get their points. So the acronym for team, as most of you know, you've heard us say it, together everybody accomplishes more. Together everyone accomplishes more. Playing like a bunch of talented individuals, not a team. Second point, you mentioned defense. You know when you play a sport and you have one problem and it kind of seeps over to cause another problem?
Yep.
That's what's going on right now. With their struggles on offense, now they're having trouble with defense. Why do we say that? Well, LSU was one of the leaders all year long with defense, points scored, field goal percentage, all that stuff.
Yep.
And now people are bombing the nets. TCU looked like a Sweet 16 team,
Yep.
and Ole Miss looked like they had a 19 or 44-20 lead
Yep.
in the first half. Now LSU made a great run, get it to 13, and then cut it to 7. Got it invariably down to 2. Scramble on the floor.
That was a wild play.
Brandon Murray tried to throw a pass.
Yep.
It got ricocheted, and lo and behold, now you got Ole Miss on the other side getting fouled. And as you alluded to, they made free throws. But holy cow, this basketball team right now is out of sorts.
Yep.
I think Coach Wade is out of sorts with his rotation. He don't know who to put in. Justice Williams, a guy that is reclassified. Kid's still 17 years old. He's playing better. Gaines is having to play too many minutes, too many shot opportunities. I don't want to see Eric Gaines shoot the 3-ball. Look it up. It's 20-something%. So, and then this other problem that you addressed. And we all know that coaches, when you don't get a call, are going to get up and hammer on the official. Because they feel like if I get on him, maybe I'll get the next call.
Right.
Well, Will Wade needs to give them some gift certificates over here to Old School Barbecue and feed them some barbecue and make them a little happier.
Right.
Because the disparity last night was 31-13 free throws. John Brady, former coach and analyst on the radio, does a great job with Chris Blair.
He does.
Sat there and said that LSU is committing 26, the other team is shooting 26.5 free throws a game.
Right.
LSU shooting like a 10 or 11. I mean, the disparity in free throws. And so from a psychological standpoint, do you think he should be nicer? Do you think he should try to now, John Brady, one of the things that he did tell us, he said, look, I let it go. I don't carry it over. I'm starting to think some of these officials are just looking. They haven't teed him up but a time or two, but it does seem like he's getting more frustrated. And what I saw last night is that LSU fouls a lot. And they're always reaching and they're doing this, and they don't use their bodies, and they certainly don't play defense with their feet. But on the other end, JP, I'm seeing guys getting killed shooting layups and mid-range jumpers on rebounds and not getting the call.
Right.
So it's become a psychological phobia. And look, it's hard to – the crowd got into the game, but, man, that start – Ole Miss looked like the team that had a net ranking of 10, 11, and 12. Now LSU is putting themselves in a precarious situation, and I do think that team has hit the wall. So I hope they lay off of them a little bit on practice, let them get their legs. I know most coaches go the opposite way because they feel like you practice, you play the way you practice. But this is a hot mess right now, and I think most people are confident in Will Wade, but gotta eliminate the turnovers, play that early season defense, make free throws, and just play together more as a team.
Right. If they do the little things right, I feel like for the LSU basketball team, they'll start winning some more of these close games. And look, when you're a team that struggles to score the basketball in a half-court set, you really rely on points off defense, you're going to beat a lot of close games, Bud, man. And all these close games LSU's been playing here lately, that's really going to provide some experience for them later on when they do go dancing in March. Look, you want to win the games at home for certain, especially against teams that are at the bottom of the league, like an Ole Miss. And you have Vandy up next. Of course, you do have to go to Nashville to play them, but you got to win the games that you're supposed to win, Bud, man. You win the ones at home, you go 500 on the road, and you have a good season. My question to you is, where does Will Wade find some offense? I mean, where does it come from?
Well, interesting. We saw Milwaukee Wilkinson. He's been hitting 1-3 ball a game on the side. We saw a drive from Gaines. He does that, but then again, 2 or 3 trips down in a row, he's getting it blocked or he's got a turnover. I just think that if they could go back to old-fashioned basketball, and anybody that's ever played, regardless of the level, when your coach is not happy with the shot selection, he says, okay, here's the deal. You're going to make 3 or 4 or 5 more passes. And this is what bothers me. When you see a guy like Days last night, they should have been drawing up every play in the book because he got hot. He was feeling it. And yet I still see this senseless driving to the basket. Tari Eason probably going to go pro. He wants to show his moves, and I like what he brings to the table. But Fudge, Efton Reed, and we go on and on and on. They don't have many of them on the same page.
Right.
But make the extra pass or 2 or 3, get a closer shot. Oh, by the way, not that we can't forget this. They're not doing a good job of rebounding.
No.
They're not putting bodies on bodies. And folks, if you use your elbows and your butt and your back and you make a guy jump over you, you're going to get a foul called. They're not getting 50-50 balls. I mean, you can put the tape up and see this is a team in disarray. The beautiful thing about baskets is that they're coming back healthy. Penson's going to be able to do more. I just think that, you know what? I know it kind of sounds sappy and old school. I think they need to get them all in the room and say, guess what? Well, even if the coaches are there, guess what? Every one of you are going to have a chance to say your piece. And if you're mad at JP or Marty or Alan or Katie or Kayla or whatever, or Terry or certainly me, that's often people get mad at me. Bring it on and get it off your chest and clear the air, because I see them playing more as individuals than a team. And I think one of those players-only meeting might be a good thing, because I don't see them as one team. I see them as 5 athletes on the field, or on the court, playing as individuals, not as a team. And I think they've got to remedy that. They've got a nice stretch. They got to win Saturday at Vandy. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Yeah, Vandy's a must-win. In my opinion, when Pinson gets more healthy and can take that brace off his leg, he did not look good last night against Ole Miss. He could not guard the point guard. I mean, he blew by him every time. And when you don't have that lateral quickness that you're used to, it's impossible to play to your full potential. To me, LSU just gets caught up time and time again when they just dribble down and they just kind of stand around. And who's going to move? And, okay, I'll pass you the ball outside the three-point line, and then you'll dribble for a little bit. And then maybe you'll shoot it, but maybe not. They don't work it to the paint. They don't work it to the post. They don't move without the ball. Very seldom will they pick and roll, but it's not even like a true pick. It's just like kind of get in the way, and then I'll come here for the pass. No set offense. I mean, it's kind of like just whatever organically comes out in the set is what they work with, but a lot of times nothing comes organically. It's just guys dribbling around, and then they'll try to make a behind-the-head pass. And Tari Eason was very lucky to draw that game to 2 points last night with that crazy alley-oop that he luckily tipped with one fingertip. It goes off the backboard into the goal. Look, that's not the play that you want to draw up when you're down by 4 points in a very close game. They're trying to steal this game, and there's just no, the guy for offensively. Darius Days was very hot, but there's no. We'll pass you the ball. We'll clear out that side of the court, and we'll let you ISO this man. There's no one getting their own shot like that on this team.
You just
outside
hit
of
the
Tari
nail
Eason.
on the head, JP. In crunch time, I'm watching it last night.
Yeah.
And they're coming back. And nobody wanted to take the shot.
Right.
Now, Darius Days did because he was hot. But Gaines is passing it back to Justice Williams, and he's passing it back to this guy. Oh, by the way, don't feel bad. 2 5s and a 4 coming in. The latest, Johan Traore, 7 foot, 2 1/4, wingspan of 7'3". They've got a 5-star power forward, a 4-star small forward. And so you've got some bigs coming up.
Right.
But Efton Reed comes in as a 5-star. And when you got a big guy at a 5-star, you think of Naz Reid. Folks, I don't want to call him a Dolly Parton. And if you don't know what that is, that's a big bust, because he's still a ways from finishing his first freshman year. but he has got to find his game,
His touch, yeah.
his confidence.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want is an NIL deal from Sharman, because they're playing soft right now.
Yep.
So basketball team, get in the meeting, air it out, and play with a purpose together, and 50-50 balls. Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't rebounding tell you something?
Yep.
Tells you about attitude.
Yep.
They need to go get through the drive-through daiquiri when we were young, and you know what we'd get? An attitude adjustment.
We'll let you guys hear from Coach Will Wade, his post-game press conference against Ole Miss from last night. Here is head coach Will Wade.
Well, give Ole Miss a ton of credit. They got off to the 24-point lead. They were very, very comfortable. I thought Ruffin really controlled the game, particularly early on. It just took us too long to settle in. So disappointing night for us that we weren't able to settle in and find a way. But we've got to get back. We got to get back to work and continue to get better. And we did a great job on the offensive boards. We just got to finish some of those. We didn't do a good enough job. Didn't do a good enough job finishing those offensive rebounds that we got. But give almost credit. We had a difficult time guarding the ball. We had a difficult time guarding Ruffin. And then Brooks was a major issue for us down low. We ended up having to foul him a ton, and Rodriguez did a nice job, hit some critical threes. And so just a difficult loss for us. But we got to get off the mat and get ready to go on the road on Saturday.
Ole Miss had 1.188 points per possession. So what's your initial reaction to that stat?
I mean, I'll have to go back and look at it, but a lot of it's based on the fouling. We gave up, I'm sure we gave up probably 1.3 or something in the first half. But we fouled them too much. We let them get way too comfortable. From three. They hit 7 threes in the first half. We weren't switching out. We weren't applying pressure. And so when you do that and let them get in rhythm and let them get comfortable, it's tough sledding.
You mentioned they're switching defenses. Just what did they do early on that kind of gave y'all trouble, especially in the ball screens?
Well, they were in man almost the entire first half. They played the 1-3-1 at the end of the half. They played the 1-3-1 a couple times. Days hit the 3 to start the second half. And then they were in the 2-3 zone, and we did a decent job against the 2-3 zone. We just couldn't get any of our interior stuff because Nasir Brooks was such a big component. But they hedged the ball screens. We had the roll there a couple times. We missed the pass. We fumbled the ball. We just didn't do a good enough job handling the ball.
The press has come up a lot, recently. So we'll go into this game. How important was it for y'all to go through that stretch where you were making some shots, so then you could pick up and turn them over and give yourselves a chance to get back in it?
Yeah, we definitely needed to do that. When we make shots, we can set the press. I didn't think our pressure was anything great, but I thought it was solid. I thought it was solid, and we certainly need to do a better job getting into it and being able to set it a little bit earlier. But when we got into it, it was by far our best defense.
Coach, obviously any loss at home is disappointing, but is it almost more disappointing in a game where you battle all the way back but just aren't able to make enough plays?
They're all disappointing. I thought we were ready to play. We had a good day of prep. I thought we were ready to go. And to be down like that, I thought we had 2 good days of practice, or we had a good day of practice yesterday. We had a good film session last night. We were really good in shoot around today. I thought we were ready to go. So it was more just surprising that I got caught off guard. Usually I have a pretty good feel for when we're ready to go and we're not ready to go. And I thought we were ready to rock and roll today, and we didn't come out with the urgency and the desperation and the hunger that we needed to start the game.
Well, to further that, Will, how do you get off the mat? Because it seemed like a win you really needed, and now you're having a losing record in conference play. How do you get off the mat after the recent struggles?
You just got to get back to work. The only way I know how to do it is to work out of it. You got to work your way out of it. Nobody's feeling sorry for us. A lot of people are happy, and so we got to get to work. We're gonna fall back off the face of the earth here, we can we can get in the gym and go to work and try to make things happen. So there's some things we can correct. We just got to get in there and correct it and have a little bit more detail, a little bit more discipline with what we're doing. I still believe in this team. We got a good team. Our margins are razor thin, particularly without Pinson at full strength. But we still got a good group. We still got a good group, and we're gonna find a way to dig some out here down the stretch. We're gonna find a way to make this a good year. But we've got a good group. We got a good foundation, and we got to get back to work, and we've got to increase those margins a little bit.
Was he on a minutes restriction, Xavier? Because I saw he was kind of done about halfway through the second half.
Yeah, and he couldn't move. I mean, he couldn't move. We couldn't press. We couldn't do what we needed to do. And so I thought Justice played really well tonight too. He did a nice job for us. And so, we just gotta be better.
Now, speaking of Xavier, how do you feel about his process? I mean, his progress of y'all,
Well, he's getting better. He's been better in practice. He's continuing to get better. He's continuing to improve, and we've just got to continue to, to move him forward and get him closer to 100% where he feels more and more comfortable.
As far as taking care of the basketball, you feel this is probably one of y'all worst games as far as.
Well, we just got worn down. We made some really poor decisions in transition down the stretch. The turnover against the zone where we tried to split it, that was a poor. It's because we had guys out there too long. We had guys out there way too long, and they just got tired. And when you're tired, your decision making goes down. And so, we've got to certainly get that under control.
How's the morale of the team right now after these past couple of weeks?
We're not happy. They're not happy, but we've got to look. Everybody's going to count us out, and we got to go to work and do good work. You got to do great work when the chips are down, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. It's a difficult spot. It's not a spot we thought we'd be in probably a month ago, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out, and we'll be all right. We'll be all right. I believe in this group. I believe in the guys we got in there. We got good leadership. I told you guys a month ago we're built on a solid foundation. We're still on the same solid foundation. We just look. We got very, very thin margins when you're playing in a tough league like this. And we've lost a couple close games here at home. We've lost a couple close games on the road. It's 2 or 3 plays here or there, and we gotta make some plays, and we're gonna do that. We're going to do that. These guys are resilient. We're going to bounce back. We've got to focus on the next most important thing. We got to recover well tomorrow. We got to have a good day on Thursday, good spirit, good day Friday. Go up to Vanderbilt. We got to play well. It's a place we haven't won. We hadn't won there since we've been here. So we got to go up there. We're 0-2 there. So we got to go up there and we got to play well.
Head coach Will Wade in his press conference after that loss to Ole Miss. LSU suffered last night. Budman, Tyree Eason, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 2 turnovers. Eric Gaines, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 3 turnovers. LSU just has to find more offensive output for somebody else.
And it's interesting. We talk about this often about coaches and being able to push the right buttons and having to take psychology courses. And I'm a big believer in getting in a room and talking problems out, as you heard me talk about a players-only meeting. But you got to admire that Coach Wade is smart enough to know that the last thing he needs to do is beat his team up right now.
Yep.
He does, a lot of coaches sometimes beat you down and then they build you back up. This is not a time he wants to beat his team up. So he's got to keep those guys confident. He's got to act like the problems are minimal. And, man, when you start 15-1 and the only team you lose to is ranked number 1 having a great year, you kind of like the prospects. And then, of course, Pinson gets hurt, and Days gets hurt, and Brandon Murray gets hurt. And so nothing has been easy the last 2-3 weeks. You're playing better competition. You're playing better athletes in the SEC, so you almost had a little bit of false sense of security. Yeah. But if you remember watching this team now, they struggled starting a lot of games, and they came back and won in the second half. They never got out of those bad habits.
Right.
So, look, Will Wade's a great coach, great recruiter. He needs you fans out there. And you talk about Kim Mulkey, what a fantastic job she has done. And I think the key that every coach is striving for is to push every button to maximize the potential that they can get out of each player. And there's the highs and lows. Now, Morris, the young lady that came over from Texas A&M, didn't have a good game a couple games ago. And Kim Mulkey challenged her, and she responded. So it's a tough time right now, and we know that you got to hang in there, because basketball, look, if you get healthy and you get hot at the right time, then there's not going to be too many people. But I do see some bad habits, and as we mentioned, you got to clean that up, and of course, making free throws at the end of the game. Scarborough did tell us that he's going to be ready to go, so I'll hand it off to you. We'll wrap up this segment, have a break, talk with him, and as always, JP, it is a busy, busy time. We haven't even gotten into Jay Johnson.
Right.
Had media day last Friday out at LSU. Baseball starts 2 weeks from this Friday, and I just think it's going to be a fantastic year. But once again, you never know how you're going to start. That's a real professional in Jay Johnson that's going to coach this team.
Yeah, up next for LSU basketball, they go to Nashville, take on Vanderbilt. That's February 5th at 5 o'clock. Catch that game on the SEC Network. LSU women's basketball, number 15 in the coaches poll, sit at 18-4, 6-3 in the SEC. Up next, they have Old Miss. That's Monday, February 7th, 6 o'clock, also on the SEC Network. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and talk to Mike Scarborough from TireBreak.com, go over the National Signing Day, recruiting, and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Driver assistance technology comes standard on every Camry model as part of Toyota Safety Sense, setting the standard for safety every time you're on the road, no matter the destination. Save on your Camry today at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello. Hola. Ni hao.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
And we welcome you back in here. 1st February first Wednesday of February, and as always, most of you know that is always the signing day. JP, Mike Scarborough, been working tirelessly all year long, and certainly the last 48 to 72 hours, and we are lucky to have him on the phone with us today as he recaps the day. And Mike, we've been through many different signing periods. Of course, the days of the old Bayou Bash at the Belle of Baton Rouge and all the other facilities. And then they went to 2 signing dates, and now this is the second one. And so if you could give us a recap of how LSU did with Brian Kelly and the lay of the land. I saw A&M, Alabama, Georgia, 1, 2, 3. So you always have to be top 5, top 10 if you're going to compete against the big boys in the SEC. Your review on Brian Kelly in year 1 at LSU.
Well, the 3 schools that you listed there in order, they all have one thing in common. They all have coaches that have been there at their particular school for a good period of time now. And so the schools that are trying to make up ground are the ones that transition, and that's certainly where Brian Kelly and his staff are at. And look, losing Danny Lewis to Alabama is not a good thing. But you kind of take some of the sting off that by landing Harold Perkins, the #1 player in the state of Texas, a 5-star linebacker who is absolutely a difference maker. Earlier in the morning, you got Jalen Davis Robinson, the cornerback from Waxahachie, Texas. So there were 6 guys we were following, and I thought last night they looked good for 4 of the 6. And so right now they've gotten 2 of the 5, and it's Jacoby Matthews has been trending Texas A&M all day long. But one thing I do know is expect the unexpected now that we're in the age of name, image, and likeness, and business people being able to check for players.
Of course, JP, it has not been announced yet, but I would imagine that Jimbo Fisher would fail a lie detector test on this Wednesday, February 2nd, having the audacity to lie to everybody and say that NIL is not the reason that they've got the #1 recruiting class. Mike, let's talk about moving forward. We've been asking this question probably for the last 6 months, maybe even longer. How is NIL going to impact and affect recruiting? And is it going to become a bidding war? And yet Jimbo's telling everybody, they came because I got the greatest offense that we implemented in the 70s. I mean, come on, Jimbo. You've seen liars. You've seen cheaters. Quit trying to sell that kind of BS. And in fact, it was so bad, JP and Mike, that at the press conference the Saturday before the national championship game, both Kirby Smart and Nick Saban were asking the NCAA to have a little bit of policing and legislation for NIL moving forward, when we know those 2 guys who know how to get it done under the table or above the table, when they start griping, then this thing is out of control. But A&M did bring in a ton of people, and Mike, if you could, tell us the saga of Jacoby Matthews and what you're hearing and what you think is going to happen here in another, hour or so.
Well, I know yesterday, early to late afternoon, I was told that LSU was way behind as far as NIL money for Jacoby Matthews. Then I was told last night that it looked good for LSU. And then this morning, the bottom fell out and LSU was out. And then it's been one number after another. So I can say this. I think if the money was equal, there would be no doubt that Jacoby Matthews would be at LSU. So when this show airs, the timing is right because LSU has their NIL gathering with the business people and the invitees how to be involved in NIL and the do's and don'ts and how important it is. And so when they give that presentation tonight, they get to say, see, the timing of that thing is perfect. And believe me, the guys that LSU lose and why, how, what methods were used. You absolutely go in and talk to those kids, high school coaches, parents, uncles, whoever it was involved in the process, to find out how far y'all were off. What's the difference? What crazy methods were used? Because the bottom line with this NIL stuff is there are no rules. And I'm sure that's all going to get mapped out for all the business leaders and muckety-mucks at that NIL gathering. So, but that's the whole thing. And for Jimbo to get up there and suggest that their fantastic recruiting class is just because his personality and the work ethic of his assistant coaches is above everybody else's is an absolute laugh.
Yeah, personal shout out to Gordon McKernan. Get Gordon, get it done. He's the one that kept Keyshawn Butte from going to Alabama. I mean, JP, let's just talk about that real quick. You got a guy that played 2 years at LSU. He gets hurt, and Alabama's in his ear, tampering, saying, man, come finish your final year with you. We're going to give you X amount of dollars. Gordon stepped up to the plate. LSU was at the cutting edge of NIL. Remember with Livy and all the people with the boards up in New York, NIL, LSU? But this is where the buck stops.
Yep. Mike, I know it was a huge weekend for LSU. They hosted a bunch of players. One in particular, Harold Perkins, a 5-star out of Texas, one of the best linebackers in the country. We saw in December, Coach Brian Kelly's staff was able to really hold some of the key Louisiana players, and that's always a good thing. But what does it say about this staff to go get or to keep a guy like Perkins? I mean, he was with LSU, then he committed to A&M, then he bounced out of A&M, decommits, and now he's officially going to be committed to the LSU Tigers. What does that say about Brian Kelly's staff, how they were able to land that 5-star, and just what does that say about national recruiting when they were able to go into Texas to get the number 1 linebacker out of Texas?
I think LSU was in great position last fall, even though the football season was going terrible. But Blake Baker was doing a fantastic job on him, and former LSU defensive back Durant Thomas, especially, was doing a very good job on him. Those guys are no longer in the program. Mm-hmm. So that Wilson hits the ground running and takes it over. And Frank Wilson did an absolute fantastic job. Is certainly courted the uncle. And so, look, people are looking at body language of Harold Perkins' press conference today, and that family member was back there happy. And, there's a lot of people saying there's drama there, and I don't know what it all is. But either way, LSU got it done, and he's going to be special. So, but look, here's the whole thing on that. It's like you can celebrate a kid like that and others, and then all of a sudden you can look up next December and they're in the portal. It's just, and I think that's what's upsetting a whole lot of fans of college football. Is like, that has always been one of the major differences between college and pro. Is that there was more attachment to the players because most of them are homegrown. You don't have all this transfer looking for green grass, and I don't know how you get that back, but there sure needs to be a convention, and these coaches get a handle on all of it. I don't think you're ever going to be able to get a handle on the money because that's capitalism. That's over with. But the transfer portal they can absolutely fix.
Yeah.
And they've been very successful in transfer portal. And even though you're going to see LSU not as highly ranked as you want to see, Mike, this day is always full of emotions, as you and JP were talking about. And we've kind of had this discussion because it's the first year where it really has had an impact on recruiting. But here's the thing that I struggle with. So you got guys like Jacoby Matthews and Harold Perkins, and you need both those guys because they're going to come in and play on that defense. Now, we're not saying they're going to start, but they're going to get reps, and being that too deep at safety and backer. By the way, Myers, do you see Harold Perkins inside, outside, or a couple different positions?
I see him outside.
Okay.
sideline to sideline. He's a runner. I mean, so, you know, and that's one of the things that a lot of people in Texas who've seen him play a lot, they say, man, that dude could be an all-SEC running back if he wanted to be. So go look at his highlight tape. I mean, his ball skills are unbelievable.
But here's my question, JP and Mike. So you have X amount of dollars allocated for each player. So let's just use the people that didn't sign with LSU. Not that we know any of this money is even close. Let's say you've got $200,000 for this tight end from New Iberia. And he says, I'm good. And Alabama comes up and says, I'm going to give you $4. How do you manage all of that money? How do you know what you have to give Harold Perkins to get? And then if somebody comes back on you, and I don't care what Jimbo says, if he was right here in this old school barbecue, I'd say, come on, Jimbo, how stupid do you think we are? NIL's having an impact. That's the reason you got the #1 class. It's been rumored you spend anywhere from 25 to 30 million. Now that you add on, but my point is that not only do you have to do all the scouting, the film work, present everything and the reason you should come to LSU, and now somebody comes in at the last minute and gives an offer another 100,000 better, and all that work that you've done, poof, goes up in smoke because of the dollars. I just think it's a bad precedent. You're de-emphasizing education, and you're selling these kids like a piece of meat, and I don't like the way it's turning. Then you throw in the transfer portal. I mean, Mike, this is a changing.
I'll take it one step further. There's a recruiting network out there that on each player's profile, they have a tab that's going to put a dollar amount on the value of recruits dollar-wise.
Wow.
So you think guys like me who cover recruiting for years and get recruits mad at me because they don't like where they're rated, whether they're a 4-star or a 5 or a 3, and they should be a 4. Now all of a sudden you're going to have somebody out there putting dollar figures on them, and that, to me, you want to talk about making them look like cattle and dehumanizing them and all that. You know, you can imagine how the work people could have a field day with that.
Yeah.
And JP, what's it going to do in the locker room? The left tackle gets a $50,000 deal. The quarterback gets a $400,000 deal. You better take him to get a Happy Meal at McDonald's. Oh, that was Tennessee, remember a couple years ago. But, Mike, look, we're not saying this just because LSU didn't have a great day. We're saying that college football and the landscape that we all grew up in and have loved and watched, it is a changing. You better be able to call an audible, JP, whether you play, whether you coach, or whether you support big-time athletics, because it's a changing landscape by the day.
Here's the thing I have. A couple weeks back, I was in a local live music place, and a current well-known LSU football player was there that I know is 21. And it used to be where folks buy him a beer, that'd be illegal. Is that legal now?
Well, there's no legislation and no policing, and that's the problem. We said it, JP. The NFL has a salary cap, and they watch that very closely. This is going to be a travesty if the NCAA, which still lives under the acronym of no clue at all, 2 years from now they come up and say, okay, you're going to limit, this is how much a guy can get, you got to do this and this and this. All this stuff is just going to go back under the table. So Dr. Mark Emmert, who, along with Nick Saban, woke up this sleeping giant called LSU, and nobody will ever forget them for doing that. But, man, this is crazy. I'm just saying, how many sugar daddies and boosters do you have to have on speed dial right now?
I mean, yeah, the can of worms is completely open, and there's really no putting it back in. I mean, the Pandora's box, it doesn't go back in. You have to have a way to police this and kind of put a cap on it like we talked about, because if not, the rich are just going to keep on getting richer, and the have-nots have no chance.
Just think about the Southern Misses, the Tulsas, all the other teams that don't have the athletic money coming in. This is going to further differentiate the haves and the have-nots. And Mike, my phone is blowing up. I guess we're getting some positive vibes about some people thinking that LSU may have countered. Now, we all know there's a strategy to everything, but did Jacoby Matthews set that 6 o'clock time to get the best offers at the end of the day, or how did that work out?
It could be. My only question was, and I recorded a deal with Jock earlier, because I was getting those overtures about someone going back in and making it interesting with Jacoby late. But, I also heard, hours before that maybe he had already sent in his national letter, and A&M just had released it because they knew he wanted to do something at 6 p.m. So is it a moot point? I don't know. I don't know. But that would be some funny drama.
Yeah.
And look, let's make sure we didn't do it on my show, and I apologize for that, but for the guys that signed early, for the guys that want to come to LSU, that have character and aren't driven by the almighty dollar, the guys that care about playing in Tiger Stadium, having their family see them, getting a degree, doing it the right way. And we know Brian Kelly is changing the culture. Everybody knows that. But let's kind of quickly recap some of the superstars that you feel like will be coming and that people will be supporting. The other thing that I foresee, guys, and if this stuff goes public, and nowadays with social media, it's hard to keep things secret. But if a guy's getting X amount of dollars a year, and he drops a touchdown pass, or he misses a sack, or he fumbles and costs a team a championship to go to the playoffs, can you imagine the pressure, the scrutiny, and the criticism? Because now that these guys are getting this kind of money, that student athlete doesn't fly anymore, Mike.
I've been saying that over and over again, and it's not because I'm looking forward to being able to rip a college kid. But look, don't think that you can set up a table and charge LSU fans for getting autographs and have your names, your photos on billboards, and I think that you're still a college athlete and you're not supposed to be scrutinized the way we scrutinize Milwaukee Saints players, because you're now a pro.
Yeah. Mike, in my opinion, a big miss for LSU today. Danny Lewis, the tight end out of Westgate, really just because of position of need for the Tigers. How do you see Brian Kelly's staff addressing that tight end position? Do they go back to the portal, try to bring somebody in, or what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, I think that's, obviously the number one position in my mind is center. I mean, they got to get a center. I don't like, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like the options at center in spring practice.
Yeah.
So to me, they have to get a center, and then I think a tight end, and then maybe then pick and choose. Maybe for whatever reason they've gone after a couple of wide receivers. They must feel that they need another one. So maybe that's one stuff. But to me, center is the highest priority, and maybe a really good tight end if you can get one. But the thing that hurts about Danny Lewis is that Derek Lucas for the class of 23 was seriously in the discussion for being the best player in the state of Louisiana.
Yep.
And he was at Alabama last weekend for a visit. So you don't want that Westgate pipeline to get started, and that needs to get zipped up and hurry.
Yeah.
And that accentuates the problem right there. Now LSU is going to have to come in late with that kid and up the offer. And look, Alabama, Georgia, A&M, 1, 2, 3, however you want to divvy it up. Alabama's second this year, Georgia's third. You can flip them. But Mike, with this new day and age, that kid's going to have a price at the start of recruiting. Then he's going to have a price if he stays healthy and has a blockbuster year. It's going to go up. And then if he waits to the second signing period, it might even go up higher. And it just all trends to pay for play. You better have boosters. And I think Brian Kelly and his staff are going to have a lot of talks about being able to manage the kids that they've got to pay big money for along with meshing with the kids that have high character and want to get a degree and are going to come to LSU regardless of what kind of NIL deal they're going to make. It's got to be a combination of those two, Mike.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
So tell them what you got the rest of the week.
Yeah, go to TigerNate.com. Our message board is blowing up with great discussion. A lot of the same things we're talking about. We've got some really good subscribers with great opinions and business people. In fact, I know a couple of our subscribers are going to be at that NIL meet tonight because they're in that stratosphere. Be curious to see what they say coming out of that. So this is going to be a great topic of discussion. And you might think LSU's in the Stone Age and not professional, but I feel LSU's going to figure it out in a New York second, and this is going to get rectified.
Thank you, Mike. We'll see you tonight with a little Facebook and YouTube. And I had the sunglasses on a little bit, but now that Harold Perkins has signed with LSU, I guess I'll go with sans the sunglasses. But on an emotional day, JP, can you imagine the number of subscribers blowing up his phone, text messages, internet, getting information, finding out the latest scoop? And as always, you're the best, Mike. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.
All right,
Mike, thank
talk
you.
real soon. And JP, as we said, that's the one thing that as this thing has become clear by the day and with the second signing period is how do you know how much money to allocate to get a guy and have the last word?
Right.
Because A&M and Alabama and Texas and other schools that are going to be competition for LSU, especially moving in with OU and Texas coming in.
Yeah.
They've got more boosters that have more money. And if it's strictly about money, you're going to have to be really smart and on the cutting edge to be able to figure out how to do this.
Well, A&M, I think, signed, I think it's 7 5-stars in this 2022 class. Being talked about as one of the best recruiting classes of all time, and certainly they have the funds to pay these guys a lot of NIL money, and it has completely changed the game, Bud, man. I don't think anybody saw how big of an impact this NIL was going to have, but I think the Texas A&M boosters certainly had an idea. They were on the forefront of it, and that's why they're number one right now. And if this doesn't get capped, Bud, man, if they don't figure out a way to police this, it's going to get more out of hand. It's the Wild West right now where it's just pay to play. We're going to give you more than the other guy to come play at our school. If you don't like it, you can transfer. You're not going to get all your money, but hey, no skin off our back. Crazy NCAA football landscape right now. And yeah, you just hope folks like Gordon McKernan continue to group together and keep LSU at the forefront, because you can get left behind real quick in a SEC, especially the West, with so many juggernaut programs with a lot of boosters, a lot of money to be thrown at kids, Bud, man.
They've got a lot of money, and I was told after the show today that one of the big boosters that put in a lot of this money with Texas A&M is the guy that developed a recipe for ice. So, I went to the stadium one year, couldn't get a cold drink. Guy that had the recipe for ice had graduated. They have amended that problem. And let me tell you what, folks, everybody's got a price.
Yep.
And if you've got a kid that's highly touted, you make him walk the straight line, because the way things are going now, it is going to be unbelievable with this money going forward. And they better get some policing and legislation real quick, or this thing is going to become very problematic.
Last break of the evening. We'll come back, put a big bow on this episode of Tigers Roar. Remember to check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. A great way to keep up with everything we do here at the Pelican. Take a quick break. We'll come back to wrap it up here on Tigers Roar.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at the Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
The Mazda CX-30, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Perfect for the journey ahead.
Start your journey in a new Mazda CX-30. Right here at Team Mazda on Airline.
And we're here to wrap up this edition of Tigers Roar. Remind you guys, if you don't already have one, go pick up today's copy of The Advocate. Flip to the living section. You'll see a great story about Old School Barbecue. Ownership, Alan Traylor, right on the picture right there. Good-looking guy. I mean, look at him smiling, cheesing up for the photographer. You don't see Alan smile often, so go get you a picture, frame it up. You can see Alan smile every day.
Well, and folks, you can smell the barbecue as soon as you get out of your car. They've got some incredible lunch specials. We've been busy, certainly for the last couple of weeks, and now with the new pub, everybody should give it a chance and come get you some barbecue. You've had the pulled pork, you've had the ribs, you've got the mac and cheese.
No, they have a great lunch
the
special.
brisket, everything.
Yeah, great lunch special, bud, man. You get a huge pulled pork sandwich. They call it the Boss Hog. You get 2 sides and a drink for under $7. Can't beat that anywhere in town. Old School Barbecue, a great write-up. In The Advocate, of course, you have the picture of Alan. You have a picture of Terry, the head cook back there, doing great things. Terry always does a good job with the barbecue. Yeah, the brisket, the ribs, the chicken, the sausage, and all the sides are homemade. Great stuff, man. Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come check it out. A great place to watch a game.
Recapping tonight's show, of course, there has been a ton of action last night. LSU started really, really slow. Ole Miss, I had a couple of my buddies texting me during the game, and I like to concentrate on the game, but one of the guys says, man, Ole Miss cannot miss. They were, and Ruffin, I got to be honest with you, if he didn't get hurt, this could have been a really ugly loss. He wasn't hitting the rim with all those shots. They were shooting 70% at one point, making every 3 ball. LSU gets down by 20. They make a charge. They make a comeback. Their defense gets some transition buckets. But in the end, just didn't have enough juice to finish it. Now they will go play at Vandy. LSU women, I think, is a much-needed rest. They'll get back out on the court next Monday. Signing day today. LSU had 6 targets as they got the cornerback from Texas, 5'11 and a half, 175, 180. Really a burner. Then got Harold Perkins, lost Citizen to Miami. lost Danny Lewis to Alabama, the tight end. And I'm with you. I wanted to see him be a Tiger because that's a neat position. Then,
Certainly.
of course, as we know, Caleb Douglas, most people thought that Billy Napier was going to get him, and he did. And then Jacoby Matthews. Now, there's been rumors all day long that Texas A&M backed up the Brinks truck, and he's going to be an Aggie. But who knows what's going to happen at 6 o'clock. So by the time you see this tonight or on the replay, you'll know his destination. But it is pay for play. Don't call. I had 2 or 3 text messages. Don't call them student athletes anymore. They're semi-professionals. And as we know in the SEC, they've got a reason it means more. And you know what else it means more? It means more when you put those big dollars down. So, Jimbo, no disrespect for you, we friends, but don't try to tell us NIL had nothing to do with you getting 7 5-stars. Come on, man.
That's right. Super Bowl just around the corner, February 13. It'll be the Bengals taking on the Rams from L.A. Of course, you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tyler Shelvin, and Thaddeus Moss on the Bengals. And, of course, for the Rams, you have Andrew Whitworth and Odell Beckham Jr. A lot of LSU flavor. Of course, you have the Saints in the middle of their head coaching search. I want to give a shout-out to Sean Payton and thank him for the 16 years, 15 seasons he gave to the city of New Orleans. A guy, such an instrumental piece in that rebirth, Bud, man. Some memories I will never forget, namely, the Super Bowl run, but that 2006 season, starting with Steve Gleason back at home against the Falcons at Monday night game. I was in the Superdome for that game. The rafters were shaking. It was absolutely incredible. A big shout out to Sean Payton and thank him for his service to the city, the whole region of New Orleans. Look, Saints fans, they're all across the country. Tough to lose Sean Payton, a guy that was still at the top of his game, 9-8 with 4 different quarterbacks, a slew of COVID and injured players didn't show up, but can't say enough for Sean Payton. We did for the Saints. I know owner Gail Benton's going to have a thorough coaching search. They are very high on Dennis Allen. The defensive coordinator is already in the building. Of course, there's some guys you can elevate. Still going to bring in some offensive minds. Hopefully the Saints can retain Pete Carmichael, longtime offensive coordinator for Sean Payton. But a lot to be done between now and the start of next football season. Of course, Brian Kelly will square off against the Florida State Seminoles for the first game for LSU. But the Saints are going to be having a rebuild too, Bud, man. It's going to be a lot of changes in New Orleans. I know Mickey Loomis and Gail Benson, the front office for the Saints, are very up to the task and have a very thorough search for the next head coach.
And for all you Tiger fans that are lamenting the fact that they didn't get some of the players that they thought they were going to get, I'll just give you one little footnote to sleep on. LSU's always been at the top with Alabama and others paying assistant coaches. 1, 2 for the last few years. And trust me, if you die and have a second life, you want to come back as a fired LSU coach because you owed millions and millions of dollars. That being said, I think what's happened this year in recruiting is a wake-up call for LSU. And they're going to have to get some boosters that believe in the NIL money. And this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But you still got a lot of football players that want to be here. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of positive vibes for that. And, oh, by the way, speaking of positive vibes, Jay Johnson, still the most popular man on campus because he's yet to play a game. He's undefeated. Baseball at LSU opening series 2 weeks from Friday.
Certainly appreciate you tuning in to Tigers Roar. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. For our full director, Marty, for everyone in the truck, Alan, Katie, Bert, and for the Bud Man, I'm Jonathan Poche, and you have been watching Tigers Roar.